Before we start, did everybody get one of these to buy all the doors, or a full get a trip on before you can? Yep, good. Well, we'll get started. I want to respect everybody's time. I know 7 to 8 is perfect time for if you have younger kids. If you don't have kids like me, it's getting close to bedtime. So thanks for coming. I'm Superintendent Shannon Hunstead. There's some board members here tonight too, so I promised I would share their pictures. No, they didn't want this, but here they are. So if some of you obviously know some of them, and if you want to ask them questions, I'd be more than happy to steer you to me, or they can answer these questions too. So this is our school board, and I just want to thank them publicly too for a couple of things. One, for being here tonight. They're here to listen to you, just like I am, but also the tough decisions that we've had to make in the last 4 years. It's been challenging. So I want to thank them. This is, as David Ivinson is our board chair, we say this at every board meeting, and we read our mission statement. And I underlined a few key words. As a superintendent, this is my responsibility to build trust and respect in our community. That can be challenging. Who's Shannon Hunstead? I don't know him. I do know him. I taught here before, so sometimes that's helpful, and sometimes it's not. But anyway, I had a good experience here before. I was here from 1996 to 2005 as a teacher. Left, and obviously I'm back now as a superintendent, and I don't know everything that happened before me. I get to hear from people what was good, what was great, what wasn't so great, whatever, right? And those are things we're living with. The board and I, what can we do? We can take where we're at and move forward. And that's what we're trying to do, and that's what I've been trying to do. And I'll get into the challenges we've had, and then the challenges we have today with school finance. But trust and respect is important. My job is to answer the public when they have questions. So if this meeting ends tonight and you still have 3, 4, or 5 more questions, you get home and you say, gee, I wish I would have asked this. I still don't have this answer. Please call me, come sit in my office. It's my job to give you an answer, okay? So that's the other way I can build trust with you guys. The other thing is, these are our kids. We want them to be self-directed. We want them to be responsible. And just like us as educators, we want them to be lifelong learners, or just like you as community members. So that's what we hope. So the fun stuff right away. I'm gonna take some time and just tell you kind of our situation, why we're in this situation, what's been happening over a number of years. I'll get a little bit more specific. In the last 10 years, I'll talk about cities and counties and schools. I'll talk about some of the things we've done in the last 4 years to get this far before being in this room asking you for support. So I'll kind of lay out that picture. Also tell you some of the things we've done despite our budget issues that we're proud of. Some things we've done during the last few years that our teachers and our administration have done to help our students. So this is a graph. This graph just shows you, so I got this little laser thing, so I'm not very good at it, so bear with me. But right over here, this number says $8,645. That is from 2004, this says 3, but basically 2004 to 2025. If the formula that the state of Minnesota gives us was tied to inflation, that's what we would have from the state. So for all those years of inflation, right now per student, we should be getting $8,645 if the state stayed with inflation. This is our number today, today, so now we're into FY26, we are at 7481. This says 7281, that's what it was last year, so 7,281. This year we have $200 more per student, so we're at 7,481. And that number right there is jumped more than the 200. I don't have the actual number, but it's more. So The one thing that, the challenge, so over here on the left, I just wrote a few things down. DGF public schools pay inflated costs for goods and services, just like you do as a homeowner. Your groceries cost more, your plumber costs more, your electrician or whatever services you need, they cost more money. State revenue has not kept pace with the rising expenses, which we just talked about. And the legislators have already told us, and the governor has said, hey, in FY 28-29, we're looking to cut $420 million on education. $250 million of that's going to come on the special ed. They've already said that. They've got a task force that is being established right now to come up with how are they going to cut $250 million out of special ed. If they don't, this task force, I won't get into state task force, so we'll just leave that alone. If the task force does not find a way to cut $250 million, they're just going to take it from every school's cross subsidy until it equals $250 million. We just got cross subsidy 2 years ago with their legislation that jumped up. Finally, we started to get more. It's still not where it should be, but we did get more. And now we're telling us in FY 28-29 that they're probably going to end up taking it back. If they can't find how to cut $250 million, well, where are you going to cut $250 million on the special ed? I don't know. So with that good news in our current state, the funding model, it's just not sustainable anymore. And I just wrote this statement, as your superintendent, it's my responsibility to share this information. So together we can hopefully navigate our challenges of what do we do next. I could also stay in my office and say, gee, I hope it gets better. Jeepers, I hope they send more money next year. I hope I get a bigger raise, right? And they just haven't, and so it's also, that's why we're here. I into a spot where we need local help, and I hate asking for local help, but I don't have candy bars to sell for a higher price. I don't have gas to sell for a higher price. We need kids, and we do have kids. I'll talk about enrollment too a little bit. But, this is just a focus on the last 10 years. So I kind of zoomed in on 2015 to 2025, okay? And you can see that we were pretty much staying along. We're under inflation, but in general, we're hanging in there, right? But over this time period, over the last 10 years, and the reason I focused on the last 10 years is because we're asking you for something for the next 10 years. So it's some relation to, hey, what's happened in public schools in the last 10? It's not a perfect projection of what's going to happen in the next 10 coming up, but I have it as a superintendent, I got to see your planning for it, right? And so this is where we're at. This gap over that time period is averaged over $740 per student short. We're not asking for 740, we're asking for 500. And the reason is, so Marcus is here tonight, we're business manager. We have projected how, okay, enrollment trends are going down, but just what we're trying to accomplish, what we're doing, we think if we can get this number, we think it's doable for the next 10. We could make it 10 more years. Now, legislators can make new rules, new mandates, new laws, new whatever, and we adjust as we go and try to make it work. But just from what we know today, we feel the 500 is something that's, one, hopefully our public can handle and can manage. And that's different for every house. I totally get that, right? It is. But it's a number that we felt we couldn't really go much underneath, because then I don't want to come back in 3 to 5 years and say, we thought it was enough, it's not. Can we ask for another whatever? And so we think this is something that's sustainable, and that's how we came up with this number. The other disturbing piece of this graph, for me as your superintendent, is I gotta look at the last 5 years. In the last 5 years, the state of Minnesota's had the most money they've ever had. And our gap grew more than it's ever been. Our gap with our funding has gotten way out of whack. Obviously, there's inflation that has gone a little wonky for everybody. We understand that. But our state funding has not even been close to that. And so that's what's scary for me as your superintendent. I got a plan for the next 10, 5, 10, whatever. It's scary. So this is the red line here is counties and cities. This is an average across the state. It's not necessarily Clay County. It's not Brooklyn and Felton necessarily. But this is the average across the state of what cities and counties have had to ask for their communities and their counties to be competitive, to pay their workers, to pay for their goods and services, just like the school district. You notice their number is 9149. This number was 8645. So they've kept up with inflation. This is public schools. Oops, I went the wrong way, sorry. The blue line is public schools. This is the average. Okay, obviously we're not in that boat as a DGF school. We're not there because we don't have anything in our books and we have a few other things. But you can see the differences between the counties, cities, and school systems. There's one reason. I'm here in front of the public asking you to please vote yes. Cities and counties have similar challenges that we do, but they have commissioners and city councils that have to make those tough decisions, right? What's that impact to their school, to their city and or their county? And then those people vote on it, they do it. Our school board doesn't have that freedom. They can't decide. We have to come to you and ask. If the public gets to say no to something, I'm just like you guys. Two things I can't say no to is the county and the city or the state, so there's three, I guess. But I can say no to a school. That's why that number's there, because it's easy to say no to a school. Why? Because it's the only one I can. Okay, that's our school reality. Changes. So I've been here 4 years. This is year 5. The last 4 we cut 1.1. It's almost 1.2 million. And here on the bottom you can see that this year, down here, this number, this school year, we cut 500. Actually, it's 566,000 out of this year's budget. When that happened, or as we've gone through this, basically what I've done is taken every school. So the elementary school, what did we cut? Cut staff. Middle school, we cut staff. High school, we cut staff. We cut budgets by 25% this year, so all teachers got 25% less money. Athletic budgets got 25% less money. We've cut 3 bus routes since I've been here, so the bus contractors are getting hit by it as well. Our special ed department now is able to join a cooperative to save as much money as we can within the cooperative. Some people love the cooperative, some people don't like the cooperative. I get how that works. It's a change. It's a pretty significant change. We have 150,000 more square feet in our buildings that we appreciate the vote yes on that, so we can have a beautiful facility. We clean it with 2 less custodians. Why do we do all that? Because this year, our budget, we talked to the auditors today, and we're close to, from last year's budget, about $200,000 in the hole again. That's after making those cuts that we've done, 1.1 million. This year, our projection was right around 300,000 in the hole. With the budget cuts of 566,000, it's going to be close. We'll see. I'll talk about enrollment here in a little bit. Enrollment is the name of the game, and that's one of the biggest hits we took last year was in enrollment. But you can see what we've done. Here's what we've got: 11 staff members, and that's kind of a fuzzy number because it's special ed. We joined the cooperative, so now some of those teachers are working for the cooperative, and we pay a percentage of their salary or all of their salary if they're solely for working in our building. Reason we joined the co-op is we probably have somebody here that's 3-4 days a week, and then they might go to Barnesville for a day. We just saved that piece. That's why we did it. We also could reduce, so this says we reduced 1 administrator. We reduced actually 2. We reduced our special ed director. We eliminated that position. And we eliminated a principal this last year. Why? Because we have to take from everywhere if we're going to be balanced, okay? There's your bus routes, there's our custodial staff. We talked about we work with less of those wonderful people. Open enrollment, this is a big topic. I get this all the time. Well, our problem is open enrollment, Mr. Hunt said. If we didn't have open enrollment, we wouldn't have to have this, and this, and it costs to have more teachers, and the teacher costs is too much, and this is our issue. This is just to show you, and I just added this to A, so I have some parentheses because I just got the numbers last week. These numbers here in parentheses are our new numbers. But last year we had 484 students that came from outside our district and went to school here. Now, one of the questions I got, so I just found this information, kept digging until I found it. 123 of those 484 last year live in Dilworth. 123 of them. So that's still 360 some that are coming from outside our district. You guys, if you know the boundaries in Dilworth, it's really wonky, right? We got right in the middle of Dilworth there, a part of the Dilworth area, behind the new pet motel. That's all part of the Moritz School District still, and on land swap. I had a meeting with the county yesterday, and Brandon Lunick, Superintendent Moritz, about the land swap. We are working on trying to get that finished. But there are 123 kids that live in Dilworth that are in the Moritz School District that open enroll to our district, okay? Out of that 484. Unfortunately though, so we get 484 in last year. Now you can see the new numbers, 476. But we had last year 227 students that live in our district, that are our residents. DGF school residents, don't live in Dilworth or Moore district, but are kids that are in our district that live with us. Okay? They go to Moorhead, they might go to Barnesville, they go to Hawley, they go to Ada, they go to UM Higgerdall. These types of schools. Good news this year. So the good news is we have a little less coming in, but we have a lot less than us. So this year it's a 186, so that's a positive thing. But it is a positive number. So we have 257 last year, now we're at 290 with open enrollment. That's 30, the difference obviously of 33. Those students bring in this kind of money. So over $2 million we get for open enrollment. Okay? I figured, well, if we're going to put 20 students in the classroom for 257 or 290, I probably need 13 to 15 teachers. It's going to cost me about $1 million in teachers because of those students that come from outside our district. Let's say it costs us 1.5 million. We're still basically $1.5 million because they're here. Okay? Here's what, as a taxpayer, you go, well, hang on a second. Those taxpayer dollars don't come to our district. You're right. But $9,223 do. From every one of those kids that comes from the state. They still have to pay taxes in their home district, even though they're not coming to school here. They're still paying taxes, it just goes to their home district. So that's how that works. So is it great? Is it perfect? I'm not going to say it is, but I do need to tell you that it does bring money to the district. When I came here in 2021, I can tell you it's why the school district doesn't have an operating referendum. It's because of that number right there. Okay, most schools, 70% of the schools in the state of Minnesota have some operating referendum. DGF does not, so that's great, that's awesome. But this is one of the major reasons why, is that your open enrollment numbers are way up. Or healthy, I guess. They're not way up, but they're healthy. This is just the ballot. The ballot is really simple. It's just a yes or no. And the ballot question is to increase $500 per student. It is going to be tied to, for 10 years, it'll run for 10 years, and it's tied to inflation and the taxes payable in 26. So obviously we vote in November, and then it gets paid next year. The school district receives the money in 2027. So we don't get the money next year, the money is collected next year. So we still got to get through next year with what we're working through. I didn't want to ask last year. We should have probably asked last year on a presidential election. The odds of winning the outstate Minnesota school was less than, it's right around 30%. Everyone that went out last year, outstate, Fergus Falls, Barnesville, Moorhead, they all lost their vote. It costs money to run an election. And when you lose, now you got to decide, are we going to wait a year? Or, Fergus Falls and Barnesville are going to wait. Moorhead's going right back because they say they need it, so they're going right back to ask. If you wait for a non-presidential year or an off year like this year, your percentage is almost double. Well, I'm not the smartest guy, but I'm going to play the odds. And so we got to inform the public. We got to tell you guys where we're at, but the percentages are better. And so that's why we want to ask this year. Why that is, everybody you ask will give you a different answer, so I'm not sure. Once people vote, the right people vote, I don't know. Depends on what the word right is, right? This is, so our current position, we're right here, we're right around 9234. This is before, so I told you we get 72 or 70, well, this, based on this number here, this is last year, so when we got 7281 from the state, and then we get about another $2,000 in sparsity, so transportation sparsity, some special ed subsidies, some just odds and end things, okay? We get some extra money from for different, because of our demographics, we get some other dollars. So this is us, okay? These are schools around us, and then this is us if it passes. So if on November 4th, you guys get up and say, hey, 500, that works for me, I can make that happen, I really want to support the school, I go, yes, this would be our new number. I can tell you, if you go back this way, there are 4 schools there. One of them's in statutory operating debt, 2 of them tried to get a referendum and didn't pass. So, we are like them. I don't want to get statutory operating debt because I'm not a very good superintendent if we do. So that's why we're here talking. These schools over here, they have a different operating referendums, they have capital project levies, some are big, some are small. Just to give you an example, the FEVR just passed a $900 per student pupil, or $900 per pupil last year. So they just jumped because they were down here by us, and they just passed 900. This is another comparison. So these are people that have operating referendums. So we don't have anything right now. Bemidji has one. Bemidji's actually going up for another one. Moorhead's going up for another one. Ada is not. Pelican's not. Crookston just passed one not too long ago. Alex is going out to ask their public for one this year. They're asking actually for a capital project levy. And then you and Hitterdall and Norman County East. They're a little bit over there. Why? They want to keep their school open, right? They're small school. Their community says we don't want to lose our school. We're willing to pay the taxes to make sure it stays open. That's basically what that is. I came from Lancaster, so before this job, I was a superintendent at Lancaster. Lancaster is a lot like Ulen and Hitterdall. It's very small, about 200 students, and their referendum per student was a little over 3,200. Why? They said this school will not close, and we're keeping it open. And they consolidate with Gibson Central, which is Hella, for sports, but they're a separate school system. So they're very prideful, which is, yeah, great, but that's fine. This is the tax impact, and so hopefully you guys have seen some of this. So property values, and where is it, where do it fit? And what are the costs monthly or annually? You guys all have tax preparers, you do it yourself, and these are the laws, and some of you will qualify for some of this on our website. I can talk about that too here in a little bit. These are just, some people qualify for this, some people don't. These are things that you've got to check on because it's all usually income-based and those types of things, right? So just want to make sure you're aware. Okay, so this is the other one again. Well, what if we say no? What are you going to do? I can tell you that the easy one is easy. Okay, no, that's not easy at all. But a quick fix is to say, okay, class sizes are going to go from 20-ish, 21, 22 to 27, 28 across the board. How many teachers are we getting rid of? Teachers are 76, well, not that's not true. Staff, salaries and benefits, costs are distributed. 76% of our budget is people and benefits. Okay, that does not count our bus contractors. So they're people too. They have, so if you have them into that in that contract, which some districts have their own buses, then our number is closer to 80% of our budget is people. Well, if you're going to cut $500, $600, whatever $1,000, you're going to 80% of that is probably going to be people. Like this year, I told you that 76% of our staff is our salaries and benefits. We took 25% out of everybody's budget. So why? So we could save people. So we took money from their classroom budgets, and in that process, we could save 2 people. If you ask the teachers, they're going, great. So inflation, plus you're cutting my budget by $200? Yep. Have a great year. So this is what gets to be challenging, right? You need to do more with less, guys. Come on, everybody's doing it. It's not great. But, so we're gonna cut teachers, and we have to decide where. Is it elementary? Hey, one from every grade level. Okay, what's that? What's that? Okay, maybe two from that grade level. Hey, maybe a middle school kid, or teacher, sorry. This year, not proud of this so much, but as a decision that we had to make, is in sixth grade, we didn't have a staff. So if you have a sixth grade student this year, you're kind of feeling this already. Those classrooms are in that 27, 28 this year, because we did not have a staff to go with them from fifth to sixth grade. You hope at sixth grade, hey, maybe that'll be fine. One of our biggest issues that we have in our district, if we have to make some of these cuts, is the physical size of our classrooms. Our classrooms are made to have 20 to 22 kids in them, not 25 to 28, that it'll just be desks, wall to wall. And so that's one of our issues. And, which is a challenge for teachers, right? Your whole room is full of desks and you can't pull kids out to the side and whatnot. So the other thing we would do here is paraprofessionals, we cut paras, we cut other custodians, whatever that might be, cooks, electives, curriculum, technology, we just put some of that stuff on hold. We've been fortunate enough to keep our curriculum on cycle. Our technology used to be on a three-year rotation, now it's on a 4-year rotation, but we're fortunate we've been able to do that. But that would just have to stop. We just have to cut back on that. And then, well, what else do we have? Well, other student services, counseling, social services, social workers, our maintenance department. When it comes to this, so I have staff, well, is that me? I'm not going to give that answer because I don't know, right? Maybe our school board, our site teams at each site, our administration, okay, what should we cut? What shouldn't we cut? We'll all get together, we'll come up with some ideas, and ultimately the board and I will have to make that decision, whatever that is. So that's a challenge. But so, like I told you earlier, there's things that we've done despite cutting almost 1.7 million out of the budget the last 4 years. We added an ALP, alternative learning program. There's a couple things here. One, the number one focus for Joe O'Keefe and I was to help kids that struggled, kids that were dropouts, kids that were going to go who knows what, right? It's also saving some of our enrollment. We're keeping about anywhere from 13 to 17 kids. Joe, I'll put you on the spot. How many kids have graduated in the last 2 years since we had that program? About the same. So yeah, we had kids that were easy dropouts, and we probably have 13, 14 of them now that have graduated the last couple of years, the ones that have gotten high school diploma. So pretty proud of that. It does take some resources, but it was worth it. The other thing we added is the shop. When I came here, the shop was not in the building plans. I'm a farm kid, so we're having a shop. So we built the shop. And building the shop as part of that program or part of that project costs us a little money, but I can't imagine the school without a shop. And Joe will attest to this too. Our kids, that room is full, and we got to turn people away. We're hoping in the next couple of years, because it's established down in the middle school, it's established in 9th and 10th grade that we can start to give these kids more advanced opportunities, and that's what we're hoping for. Question? The industrial tech. So welding, woodworking, that type of thing. Great question. No. So that's been a huge success. The other thing is curriculum. If you're not in education, you're going, yeah, well, we always had reading, we've always had math. But one of the things that this school, I used to be a curriculum director at a previous district before I became a superintendent. And the one thing you need to have is consistency. You need to use common language with your kids in the elementary, so they hear the same thing, so they can build as building blocks, so they go, oh, I remember that from last year. Oh, now it's a little far. Oh, I remember that word. And so what it does in reading and in math, if you're using the same terminology as a first grade teacher, and the second grade teacher does too, but it's just more advanced, kids move faster, they retain more. And that was one of the issues here. It wasn't that the teachers weren't teaching good material, good curriculum. It was just different. If I'm working out and next week I do a different workout, and 2 years from now I'm doing a different workout, it's good for my body, but it's not great. If I can have the same curriculum and have the same communications from my staff, no matter what grade I'm in, I can go that much farther in that subject. And so that's the one thing we did. We now, our reading curriculum is taught throughout, all through the elementary, up through 5th grade. It's very consistent, same language. So it always takes 3 years to start seeing scores. We're in year 2, so by next year, I believe that we're gonna already, in fact, we're already seeing some scores improving already in that. And that's just because of consistency. Our math program, that was in place before I got here, and our math scores were always higher than me. Why? Same program. It's pretty simple. That's how it works. So we're able to do that in science too now, and so we're excited about that. But that did cost some money. That's an investment we made. This year we have a MTSS. This is a multi-tiered system support program. This is 100% funded to a grant. Otherwise, we weren't going to do it. We got a grant that we have Allison Stewart as our coordinator. That's paid through Title I funds. And then all the interventionists are covered to an access grant that has been sustainable in our region for other school districts. DGF did not access that in the past. We are now, and it's going to be 350-ish, close to 400,000 maybe by the time it's done, what we'll get from access to pay for those interventionists. That is for every student. So no matter if you've heard of Title I before, oh, kids that need extra support, teach them the skills they don't have in math and reading. This actually meets every level of kid, and they get challenged where they're at to go to the next level. So this is just getting started this year. We finished up our testing, Brittany, I think, right? We're pretty much done with that, and now they're getting in their groups, and we should start to see some good improvement. Last thing on there, which is important because it's a little near and dear to my heart too, just because I am a farm kid. I got here and it still was surprised. When I was here in the late 90s, I was shocked that we didn't have an egg program. Came back in 2021 and there was still no egg program. And so I said, well, we're going to get an egg program. So we were very fortunate. We have an egg teacher in high school, and now we have an egg teacher in the middle school as well. We have an FFA program. It's an official chapter this year. They were a club last year. Now the state recognized them, so we're official chapter in FFA, and we will have it in middle school and high school. So that was a huge win. If the referendum passes, so I sent out a staff survey too, asking them, what do you guys think? What are you worried about? What are your concerns? What is the public concerned about? What are their questions? So just share. So I had the staff fill this out. And one of the things is, well, hey, can you break down exactly what's going to happen if it passes? And he said, well, number one, you probably get 25% of your budget back. We can get you back to where you were before. So that has a dollar tied to it, right? We won't deficit spend $250,000 to $300,000 a year. So that can go away. So now there's about $400,000 or $500,000 we just used up right there, right? And so then the other things is to create more programs, sustain, I've cut 11 teachers, we've got administrators. Do we bring some of that back? Well, those are going to be tough decisions. Can we survive without them? What is our class size goal? And that's a board level question too. And so the other thing is that's really important. Joe O'Keefe and I met with Concordia yesterday. We met with them as UM before too. One of the things we want to do is create this career pathways. We want our high school kids to spend part of their senior year out in the workforce and have some exposure. So when they go to college, they have an idea, hey, I like this, or I would never go to school for that. I didn't realize I had to get a master's degree in public. We wanted to have some of that exposure, so we want to create a work release program. We do have 2 current staff members that have the degree that can go out and help kids out in the workforce and start to get some of that life experience and work experience before they go to school. And so that's one of our big goals that we would like to do. If this can pass, those are some things that we can open some more doors for kids. One thing I will say that's sometimes overlooked is that our students right now leave on an annual basis. Let's say it this way: on an annual basis, our seniors leave. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. On an annual basis, juniors and seniors take about 1,200 credits, college credits. while they're in high school. So college credits at M State are about $188 a credit. At Morris State, they're $285 a credit. So if you say, yeah, they're about $200 a credit, we're talking $200 and some thousand dollars of savings for those kids that get those credits. You can take those other places too, but that's something that we're doing in-house here. And keeping those kids here, we're still getting funding for those kids, and yet they're benefiting. They go to college ahead, and that's another thing that we want to grow and continue if this can happen. So obviously we have facility needs, beautiful new section of our building, but about 3/4 of our building is still old, and it needs roofs, it needs HVAC, and it needs all those things. When the referendum passed, part of that passing was an LTFM bonding. So we have long-term facility maintenance money. That's LTFM. Those are dollars we can use to maintain our buildings. The average age of our buildings is still over 35 years old. That's why we get the maximum dollar from the state on our long-term facility maintenance. Of our $670-ish thousand, we're allotted to get for long-term facility maintenance every year. About 590 of that goes to a payment on the bond. So we are behind on our maintenance. Okay, we have a nice facility. Those things were helpful. But when I got here, it was one of my #1 challenges is how are we going to maintain buildings with that money, without that money? And so it's a challenge. So that's the other part of passing this referendum is we have some maintenance needs. We have some boiler issues that we're slowly working on. Last year we fixed an elevator that was out. Those are other things that we need to do with this referendum. This is the link to the website. How many people have gone to the microsite to kind of just look at the referendum site? Does anybody? Can you show me? Okay, so there's some of you. Yeah. If you haven't, please do. You can go right to our school website. You can click it. It'll take you there. I think I do have it. I can show it to you real quick. Obviously, thank you for being here. I do have a few extra slides. This is just for other information. So if you have some questions, these are some open enrollment. This is a family. So if you have kids in our school, you're not paying for school lunch anymore. Average family for one student, you're saving about $600 to $700 a year in food. This is not figured out breakfast. So some of you don't have kids in school. Obviously, you're not paying for school lunches. You're paying taxes in the state of Minnesota, and Minnesota is right now decided to pay for everybody's school lunch. And so that's good for some, and it's not great for others. So I just want to make sure you know that. This slide here is just to show our referendum market value. One of the issues DGF has is that we're not property rich. We're actually property poor. Farmland does not count towards referendum market value. That's why, well, there's a few big decisions that the school board and I had to make. If we go for capital project levy, farmland is going to be taxed. And the homeowner will be taxed a little less. If we go for an operating referendum, the farmland is not taxed. And everybody, farmers are taxed. They still have to pay in their farm or on their house in 1 acre. So they still have responsibility just like everybody else. It's just an equal playing field that way. And so that's the decision we made because we know that our communities are affected by farmers and our farmers are important to our community. So it's the reason we decided as a board, after having meetings with the public, that this is our best way. If we want one question, it's going to be an operating referendum. Okay? The other thing is a capital project levy that taxes farmland also has to be used for specific things. It could be used for technology, it can be used for transportation, and it has to be earmarked and set specifically for that. An operating referendum, it goes right to the school, and the school and the board would decide where they're putting it, and they can go still for technology, for curriculum, for transportation, for salaries, for whatever. It's a local decision. So that's the other reason why we went for that. But when your property value is low, everybody has to pay a little more. So if you look at this map, I share this map because it's real. It is the state of Minnesota. And when somebody on the government says, it doesn't matter where you live, you're all equal. Doesn't matter your zip code. And I go, liar, liar, pants on fire. If you live in the Iron Range, there's a lot of money there. And school districts, ever been to Hibbing? That's a beautiful building. It's been a long time, but they have money there. And so their taxpayers don't have to pay as much because there's so much property value. Okay? This is Brainerd Lakes, Pequot Lakes, Lakes Country, a lot of value there. So their schools don't pay as much either. Alexandria, Fergus Falls up to PL, lake property. There's a pipeline that runs through the state of Minnesota right there. And that pipeline gives those districts a ton of money, and their taxpayers don't have to pay as much. I was in that guy right there, and my neighbors got almost everything paid for in their house. If they had a referendum, if you look at Alex, they have over a $3,000 operating referendum too. And their household pays less than a quarter than what their neighbors in Lancaster pay for the same tax dollar, or for the same amount of money for the school. They're lucky they have a pipeline. That's the only difference. And then obviously down here we're in the metro, and this is, you follow the river, right? So, good news is, we don't have high tax, okay, that's not true. We have low property value, and that's a tough thing when the school has to come ask for money. Because you don't have your, I'll give you one last example. Prior Lake Savage in the cities has 7,000 students in it. They're a touch smaller than Moorhead. They have some operating referendums on the books. Their annual budget, same size school, just a touch smaller than Moorhead. Their annual budget is $56 million more than Moorhead's. $56 million annually different than Moorhead's. Because their homeowners are paying like $3 a month instead of, if Moorhead passes theirs, I think they're going to be paying whatever, $25, $30, $40, $50 a month. And it's just property value. It's as simple as that. So that's what's unfortunate. Questions? Yes?
I'm not scolding or anything, but I'm wondering if, back a couple years ago, you took that bus road that went around to the West Way. And did you notice you lost these families in that area, because that would be like 8 children that you lost money to? I mean, have you ever done that comparison?
Yeah, that's a good question. Our enrollment last year, so it's a great question, Lauren. Our enrollment is up this year. Just in that group, I haven't done a study, so I can't say that area right there, we lost 3 kids, 8 kids. I don't know that one. I don't. Yep. Not specifically to that group, I didn't. I just always check enrollment numbers. Our number of kids going out or coming in, we've always been up. This year we're up again, so this is the 3rd year in a row. Last year the year before, so I showed you that stat, we were at 257 positive. The year before that, we were 234. So my second year here, we went from 234 to 257, and now we're at 290. So our open enrollment, whether that's affected by that group or not, I don't know. I know they can't be leaving too fast because our open enrollment number difference is getting better every year. But I don't know that specifically, Lori. I agree. Other questions? Ask anything, yeah.
So with the benefits to this, if it passes, what type of reporting can the school do to show where these funds have gone? If they've gone to curriculum, students, teachers, is there any type of requirement, or will the school do that?
Great question. There's no requirement, right? But we have to answer to, there's 7 school board members, and they got to answer to their public just like I do as a superintendent. So at board meetings, I mean, anybody's welcome anytime to ask those questions. What are we doing? What changes have happened because of, okay, you got $500 to get more, what are you doing? Yep, we're kind of bringing back some things that we lost over, but then here's our new stuff, or here's what we're doing. Yep. One of the things that's not exciting, but is our maintenance of our building. And that's going to be part of what our answer will have to be at some point here in the next 10. But we have to answer to you, Lisa. That's a great question. So one of the things, I have these sheets. I got every department and what has changed, technology, transportation, whatever. Because as a superintendent, the first question I need to answer is, what have you done for us lately? Right? And it's, well, here's what they've had to adjust. It's not a wonderful thing, but we've made some adjustments. So the same would be true here, Lisa. So when it passes, we need to answer again, yeah? But there is no requirement. Yeah. Other questions? Yes, sure.
Do we still have, how much, bonds we have to pay off, and are we gonna roll, if this was successful, would this be rolled into that bond?
The building bond?
No, it's only something.
The school board just refinanced a piece of that, 15 some.
So we just did a little refinance of 12 million of the building bond. And it's gonna save taxpayers $400,000 over 5 years, 6 years, something like that. It's about 60,000 a year is what it is. So we did do a little finance on that, but this would be a totally separate piece, yeah. Yeah, good question.
But also, a number of years ago, when I was on board, we were talking about the career academy being part of that.
Career academy is kind of a, I'll say it this way, probably a tough subject. The first year I got here is when it was opening. I would say, and Joe, you can correct me too, I'd say the first year probably said 13, 14 kids there, something like that. Their schedules changed. Our kids couldn't, they were missing out on coursework just because of travel time. So, hey, you had to miss part of a class to get there, you missed another part of a class to get there. So you were missing a full class for sure to go take something over there. Then we were working on, hey, should we have them go there for a half a day and then come back for the second half of the day? How do we do this transportation? And then, or I went to a block schedule because they couldn't afford the busing. And when they went to a block schedule, they went 80 days and it didn't jive at all with us. It's just, yeah, it's unfortunate. Other reason why we were building the shop. We knew that we were gonna have to do that in-house to some capacity. And Career Academy did, yeah, it just, I think it was a great effort there, Joe. What you say, we tried to figure out how can we make this work for our kids. And transportation cost was another issue, so. Yeah. Other questions?
I have a couple questions. So first of all, the budget sounds incredibly tight, but that doesn't mean you step through by adding another resource officer to each school has their own, and maybe they are too, and I can try before you, but, or maybe it's not needed, but.
Well, I'll never say it's not needed, but so the question was a resource officer. Does each school, so does Dilworth have a resource officer and each have their own and they do not? So here's what we get. We get Safe Schools dollars from the state of Minnesota. We get 60,000 this year. I think it's 57,000 this year, unfortunately. And our SRO costs 75,000. This is typical school finance. We're gonna give you some money, but it won't be enough. Make sure you get that program going. Oh, thanks. So I convinced Mark last year, Sheriff Bentley, hey, we'll give you our money that we get for Safe Schools money. We get 60,000, last year was 60. And that's all we can afford. So then we didn't have her even full time. Then we said, well, we're gonna cut an administrator, we're gonna cut this. Okay, maybe I can afford to give her full time. No, counts as 10 on 11, but we're gonna save 100 some, so let's do that. So this year she's full time. She primarily is, Officer Kellen is primarily in Glidden. Ricky can talk to this too. Hunter and the Dilworth Police Department does have a presence in the morning. If we ever need her, yesterday or today she was there. She comes quick and because she can drive fast in a cop car. Anyway, so we do get her. We just don't. It's another 60, 50, 75, depending on $1,000. I am going to talk to the county and Steve Larson about levying that dollar, and then he just pays for our SRO. So that's another thing spending the money. So he can pay for it, and we can use our Safe Schools for something else, right? Maybe another SRO. Yeah, good question. Yeah, that's right.
So I've been hearing the news again, I don't know much about it, but I was hearing that there was discussion about possibly Minnesota and Title IX dispute that we might get some education cuts. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, so the question is about our Title IX funding or our Title I funding from the federal government. Minnesota and the government aren't getting, federal government aren't getting along right now because there's a disagreement there. We fall under Minnesota law first, so we gotta follow Minnesota law even when we don't like it. Or if we do like it, doesn't matter, we're following it because that's our job, okay? Right now, the federal government, and I get reports constantly on this, there is no title funds that are being withheld at this time. Now, they're in the middle of the fight, right? So I can't, this is also, this is a great question because we tied this question of 500 students or $500 per student to inflation. There's a major reason why we wanted to tie this to inflation. Obviously, you can see inflation is separating the dollar as we go through it. If we don't do that, we're going to fall behind again. Second thing it does is I don't know what the federal government's going to do, and I don't know what the state government's going to do. Okay? And when they don't fund us the way they should, our inflation can soften that blow a little bit. Last year, and so I told you I was going to talk about enrollment, and I know I did this talk about open enrollment. Last year, we had 94 kindergartners. The year before, we had 135. This year, or 133. This year, we have 133 or 35. This year's first grade is 87 kids. So that took last year's budget, blew it by $400,000 we lost in our enrollment right there. Well, I could be a super smart superintendent, but I didn't see that coming. Not that to that magnitude. And so that hurt us. But back to the title funds, as of today, and that's all I can speak about because the world is moving very fast. As of today, every report I got is title funds are going to be there for us. Yeah. Title funds for us this year, about 180,000-ish, close, yeah. And so right now, that's paying for MTSS people, pays for a little bit of social worker time. So we used every penny of that. Yeah. Right around 20 million. It's about 19.5, 19, yeah. It's 20 now, yeah, right around 20 million. Yeah.
Since you've been here, you're cutting about 5% of that.
Yeah, it's been close. It's averaged, if you do all the math, it's about $450,000 a year we cut. Average, yeah. Yep. And so just like anybody's budget, you go, geez, you're still doing okay? Well, define okay, right? It really, my message to the school board and why we're here today, and we've been here, made this decision was, I can't cut our way anymore out of, into success. If we want to be great, if we want to be successful, if we want to supply the education our kids and our community deserves, I need to stop cutting. I just do. It's to the point where now it's going to hurt kids. It's just obviously it hurts staff because we're losing staff. Why? Because there's 76% of our budget, right? And so, yeah, it got to a point where I've gone through every department and we cut there, we cut there, we cut there, we cut there, and I just told the Lord, this has got to stop. So, right or wrong. Yeah.
Did you have something else with it?
No, I was just thinking, like, I guess I have a couple questions, but so kindergarten enrollment's down, so there's $400,000 state funding basically that isn't coming in, grade level.
Yep.
Now, if that continues, state class that is not going to be, obviously, kindergarten next year.
Yeah, well, and so good question. So last year's kindergarten was 94, this year's back up to 133. Yeah, no, we got this yo-yo going, yeah. And actually the year in front of the second graders, that class got like 108 and then 133. Our high school numbers are up, and if you know school finance, we get 1.2 credit, so they're weighted. High school kids 7 through 12 are weighted, we get more money for them. And the reason we do is because of athletics. Because athletics costs money, right? And so that's why the state gives you 0.2 more for every kid to offset some of it. They know athletics is going to be a loss, so here's some extra money. That's how they do it. All elementary kids at work one.
Then on the first chart, I showed the 7,000.
Yeah, but I don't know if I can get there quicker. I'll just keep doing this. Yeah, close your eyes. I don't need anybody to go into a seizure. This one right here,
Yeah, so the one is,
that's inflation. If inflation was tied to the school formula of money we get from the state, if that dollar back in 2003 from then forward was tied to inflation, so the same inflation rate. So interesting enough, if you look into this area here, the average inflation rate was maybe 1.7, 2.3, kind of averaged in there. And then obviously you can see in the last 10 years, it kind of went wonky, right? Or last 5 really. That's what that number is. That's if inflation was tied to it. And then this is what the state gave us as a school district.
and then you're saying it's 9,200 based on a couple other factors.
This one right here?
Right.
This is, the yeah, that number is the cities and counties.
No, I guess it was the per pupil, it was the chart where you said you got some like, more money from the state to get to 9,200 per kid.
Oh, yeah, varsity aid and that, yeah, okay, great question. So here's what we get first, and so I told you that this number, this year is 74.81, so we get $200 more, okay? So that's the formula. That formula is, this year, 66% of our budget. So when the state says, hey, we gave them 4%, yeah, you did, to 66% of our budget. The other part of our budget is different sparsity aids. So I'll get super deep real quick, but so we have square miles per resident pupil unit, okay? How many square miles per resident pupil unit? Well, this year, it's 0.23675, blah, 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 okay? Last year was 0.19 something. We got $47,000 more this year in transportation aid. Why? Because your square mileage per resident pupil unit, it's like, okay, I didn't tell people where to live. I didn't tell our bus drivers, hey, you gotta go a little farther to get Johnny, because he lives a little off farther. But isn't that wonky? There's 40, so that extra dollars to get to 92, it's stuff like that. Hey, we got a little extra money there, but the year before, we lost money in transportation aid because it was less miles. You get money if your enrollment's down. So when our enrollment went down last year, I think we got like $18,000, $19,000, $20,000 extra. Okay, well, when you add all that up, this sparsity, so that's how we get to 92, 23, all these little, am I making sense? Okay. It's just, yeah. If there's 41 pages, levy sheets, if you ever want to come visit, I can show you exactly what it's a fun read. And so the school finance, yeah.
I was just wondering how athletics fit into all this.
Oh, there's what, athletics?
Athletics, yeah, I mean, I'm all for that,
Yep.
I'm all for sport, but sometimes I think that takes a lot of money to.
Oh, big time.
So I'm just wondering how does that.
Yep.
like, for-
Yep. Just like any district I've ever been a part of, you look at athletics and you go, okay, how much are we gonna lose here? What can we do to offset that? Our district, we lose about $600,000 in athletics. After everything's done. Lose, yep, we lose. So transportation, coaches, equipment, you name it. That's the cost. We collect, so then people say, hey, double the fee, triple the fee. When you double the fee, you get another 20 grand. It's not denting the big number, okay? But here's what I will say. We have 400, because I just looked this up, we have 450 unduplicated kids. So that means one kid, he plays 3 sports, he counts 3 times. No, we count it 1 time. We have 450 unduplicated students in our sports programs. That's over $4 million worth of funding from the state. When we cut volleyball, when we cut cross country, we cut whatever, they'll go right to Holly, and now you're gonna lose that funding. And so this is the problem with, right? You need to have extracurricular activities because it's part of an education, which I agree with, and I know you do too support that. It's just, so I had somebody, hey, why don't all the coaches volunteer? I said, sign up, we'd love to have you. Right? I mean, I totally agree, Lord. That's something we talk about constantly. We took away some of the budget this year, just like we took from the classroom. But Katie and I talked a lot about to get rid of some middle school contests. Maybe middle school doesn't. Here's a dilemma we had last year. We ended up with 40 7th grade boys that wanted to play football. I said, should we cut them? In 7th grade? Well, of course not. What did we do? We had to add a coach. We have 1 for 20. Okay, well, we better have somebody else helping 40 football players and making sure their equipment's on right, because they're 7th graders. Right? I mean, yeah, so do we eliminate the games? Do we, high school league kind of manages the upper end of that, but we could do it with lower end for sure. We talked about it. Again, I don't know, it's a constant, I can tell you, athletics. Marcus and I sat with her this year and I said, I want $100,000 out of your budget. And we cut a fair amount, but there's some things you still gotta get into the game, right? And when we have home games, so you go, hey, let's have more home games in middle school. You gotta pay people that are running the clock, you pay officials, it's like, okay, you might just save 15, maybe $1,800, but I don't know. That's a tough one. It's rattling around in the superintendent's head all the time, I think like that. Other questions, yeah?
How do you balance the open enrollment? I think it's very well with understanding balance and bringing more in. And we don't understand what the total cost.
Yep.
So, how do you take care of the ones that are here? Why are we opening our doors? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Balance that?
Yep. Well, we can take care of ours without asking you for money until now because of them. Because we get those kids that are coming from other towns, Barnesville, Hawley, Moorhead, whatever, are bringing, this year now it's closer to 1.6 million.
I hear that. What I'm asking is, if you come with it, there's a cost as well. So, counseling services, all those things, so how do we balance that?
Well, I kind of tried it out, and this is oversimplified, so I agree with what you're saying. There's more than just, there's a teacher, right, that covers 20 of those kids, right? There's some other services, no question. Some of it's reimbursed. If it's a special ed student, we get some reimbursement for that. But I guess I didn't want to get too weedy in this about what a student costs. We know that they have to be educated, right? And so we got to put them in a classroom. So if we took all our open enrollment kids and stuck them in their own classrooms, that's kind of what I tried to show here, and that's what it would cost us, about $1 million for teachers. Am I making sense? Yeah, and there's a cost, I get it. Overall, it's not maybe the right way to say it, we make money off open enrollment kids. Just because of the number. Yes. You're right, but if we don't, then I might not have that teacher, and they might have 5 kids in the next classroom because they couldn't afford the teacher. It is a balance, no question. It's not perfect, and I've said it before. It's not. We're just trying to find that. So right now, if we didn't have open enrollment, yeah, we're like 1,200 kids. We probably have. So yeah, which is fine, which is good. It's just we're gonna have less teachers and whatever, and maybe less opportunity. And this is not the right philosophy, but this is kind of how I operate, okay? And if you were here for any of my other meetings, this is how I feel as an educator. I taught for a long time. I was an activities director, I was a community ed, I was all these other things, and now I'm this, right? I always say everybody needs to come to our school because we're the best school. We serve everybody, and they need to experience us. Joe O'Keefe calls us the destination high school. Our numbers are starting to show that every year we're getting more to stay and less to go, or more to come in. I don't disagree, there's other expenses, but our job is also to serve kids, and I know, and our community first, I get that, so. Yeah, it's not perfect, so, yeah.
Question. I guess, to, maybe alongside of her point, that's what I was kind of asking about finding 400 for open enrollment students on the children's craft. Did they bring in more state funding than?
Don't say it.
Okay, so open enrollment students. Field here shows that they're making us money. That would include the DGF kids that live local, make us money as well. Same
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but in turn, you're asking us for more money because some of it is cost. And I'm not saying this at all, I'm not.
Yeah.
trying to be
Yeah.
business.
No, it's okay.
So, if it's good,
so my outlook kind of goes a little bigger picture too, because like 40 some years ago, 5 years ago, we were asked to do a $30-some million building project. Because we needed more students. And now we don't have operating budget to run this building, to provide for the students that we have here.
Yep.
So it's continuously costing taxpayers more money. When, I don't know if it's quite right if we put up there that open enrolled students are bringing in $1.7 million extra that we would have to open. Because as your point is that every student right now, because of inflation, this, that, or the other thing, we're at a $500 to $700 deficit in spending. So
Yep.
you can't really say that, you know, and it's actually more than that because of the building costs of the investment and overall in this 10 years, we're gonna be looking at, you know, the city's grow more buildings.
Mhm.
And a lot of that portion is gonna be from the growth. Again, I'm not saying it's not happening, but the state, it's on the bigger problem with the state when it's not funding.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here today if this wasn't our issue right here. If the state even somewhat, if this went just kind of right here, we wouldn't be here today. I can tell you this too, I don't know if you know your legislators, but unfortunately they know me very well, and I can't tell you how frustrating it is, and I get it, they got jobs and they don't like their jobs all the time either. We ask for flexible spending. We have money in this district, in this district, I have funds in certain areas that I can't use anywhere but there, and there's a ton of money in it, and they won't let us move it. I said, it's a savings account, can't we use it somewhere else? For now, we might need it right now, no, can't use it, can't do it, it's misallocation of funds, you'll get fined. Wow, thank you. So we've already put that into legislators' heads last year, it did get to the floor, it got voted to make it into the bill, we're bringing it again, we've already sent it, the school board's already sent that on to MSBA to get us to have some flexible spending. If they gave us flexible spending in the last legislative session, I might be asking you for $200 a kid instead of $500. That's a fact, it had been close to that. And we are here today in this conundrum because of the state of Minnesota bar none. That's our issue. We weren't here 2 years ago or 3 years ago when I first got here, asking you for any money, and this district's never asked you for an operating referendum because of that open enrollment slip. It's not a slush fund, but the dollars that come with them, right? And I know there's a cost, because we added the building, and that's not for 200 kids that are open enrolled. The building, it does, we needed some more space and whatever, I do agree, there's a piece of that for sure, and I'll never deny that, yeah. It's where's that spot, right? Yeah, no, I get you. But the state, in their funding system, is failing miserably, and, yeah, here we are.
Can I just clarify on open enrollment? If we, as DGF, would say we're not gonna allow open enrollment, that doesn't mean that our students could go open enroll to Moorhead.
True.
Then we would be at a net loss.
We would be, yep. Yeah, and we have policy on open enrollment. Our policy is 150. So if we get to 150 kids in the classroom, we can say, hey, sorry for full. That's where we're at. And that's kind of the protector building. In a grade level, yeah, per grade. So we have 135, 133, 133, switch it a little bit in kindergarten right now. And last, 2 years ago, we did 2. So you're getting a little closer to going, hey, do we shut the doors on that open enrollment? But Lisa's is also right, that if we say no, in the 100 or, what did I say, 180 some leave, whenever that was, yeah, we could be in that loss, and that might be that too. Yeah. I'm not gonna say it's perfect open enrollment, because there is a cost, and there are some other issues too. No, I'll never say that there isn't. I just know that we bring in more than what we pay, or what the costs are. So, yeah.
Can you go to the chart with the school districts, Alexandria, in that one?
Oh, wrong direction, sorry, yeah. What they have for referendums, you mean, or where are we going up, or this one or this one?
No, the other one, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at the bottom.
In this group, so I can tell you this, Holly is right next to us, they're right underneath us, right there. Holly is, but they,
What's Holly doing? Are they in a rub too?
Nope, I don't have that slide, but Holly's property tax per pupil unit is almost, it's almost $10,000 for their taxpayer. This is state money. This is state and then operating referendums. They're right underneath us. They can tell you their special ed costs are probably a tenth of what ours are. Probably 20%, no, way less than that. They just, yeah,
Their
it's,
special ed's coming here.
no, not necessarily, we're just a bigger district. Yep, that's one thing.
I was just wondering if it's fair to say that, right, is East Grand Forks struggling too?
You know, I can't,
When you were talking about this, it was like one.
yeah, well, I'm not gonna tell you who's in statutory operating, because I don't wanna throw that.
But
And I can, yeah, East Grand Forks, I'm not sure where they're at. I know they did a building bond here, put turf on their field, opened them to their high school, they did kind of similar to what we did here. As far as how are they doing in the classroom, I haven't. They're on their third superintendent probably in the last 4 years, so probably doing fantastic, maybe that's the problem.
I was just asking because if those four.
Yep.
Are struggling and get, like you said, Martin, some of those were looking for funding and they lost last.
Yeah, they didn't, the vote didn't
So
pass.
we took those four out and slid DGF over to what red DGF is.
Yep.
If those guys got their funding, we'd be way down, we'd be way offset. And
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't have everybody here. I mean, in Holly is right next to us. They're like at 92 even, I think, or something, 92. They're right about that. Yeah.
what I'm saying is I don't think it's you.
Oh, well, hey, thanks. Sounds good. Yeah. Well, this is the numbers. I mean, you get these from the state and Minnesota Department of Ed, so how much do I owe you for that statement? Appreciate it. Yeah, it is what it is, right? And so, yeah. And that's my job as a superintendent. Here's the facts. Here's where we are. They're great. They're not great. And that's the only reason we're here is if I'm your educational leader and I'm supposed to make sure I'm taking care of the kids of your community, by God, I better tell you when it's tough and where we're at. And here's what I want to cut from your kids. And I don't want to cut anymore. That's really, at the end of the day, that's really what this conversation's about. I don't want to cut anymore. I've asked our board to stop. Oh, I have to stop doing this. What's our option? Well, the state, I'll just leave them alone. Why? Because they like to leave us alone for some reason. The feds, that's a big stuff, right? And that's title funds. And I don't know. Right now, yeah, we're good. Tomorrow, hey, lawsuit settled. They hate Minnesota. Move. Perfect. I mean, we're going to talk about $200,000. So, yeah.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I appreciate you putting in ag, FFA.
Oh,
I appreciate you putting in shop. This guy would have been a total disaster if we wouldn't have had shop.
yeah. Joe, do we have kids that need that shop? We do.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious. It's the only thing I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And it kept me kind of on an even keel.
Yeah, we have students like that for sure. And thank you.
I feel sorry for the classes that didn't have it.
We have a little bit of a gap, there's no question, where they did not have middle school opportunity to be in the shop, do the woods and do the welding, and we're happy that we have it, for sure. So, yeah. It's after 8, so too, I'm sorry, you have a question?
Yeah, I was, wondering, on your information sheet you sent out with a $2 million figure on the bottom, is that a cap for everyone?
On this handout? Oh, where now?
That's on the mail.
Oh, property value. Are you talking about this?
Right.
Okay, and your question is,
Bottom figure, I have to own 300 acres of land, which probably says it's worth 2.6 million.
yep, your acreage does has no effect. This has nothing to do with farmland. You can have 18 million, it doesn't have any effect on this at all. Only thing that you'll pay on is your house and 1 acre. It's not farm acreage, it's your household, it's your homestead, I guess, right? So it's your house and your 1 acre right there. Yeah, you can go ahead, I can tell you, that's a great question. So we'll segue into this, if I can manage this. If you go right here, this is our website, that's for the referendum. You can go to tax impact, you can scroll down, you can go right here, calculate, you can find your exact property, you punch in your address, it'll tell you how to get taxed and what your value is from Clay County. And then it'll tell you exactly what you're gonna have to, your impact will be. Yep. So everybody can find your own piece of property right here, it'll tell you exactly what it is. Because I might think, hey, my house is worth $200,000, and I go, that's not what Clay County says. Yeah. So, yeah.
I was hoping that the figure was wrong, but I wouldn't be paying $2,100 a year extra.
Right, yeah, so,
Hopefully I'm not.
yeah. I hope that's the case, yeah. But farmland, that again was one of the reasons why the school board made the decision to say, we're just gonna leave farm alone, we're just gonna do the operating referendum. So, yeah. Yeah. That's a good question, though, just to clarify. Other things before, it is after 8, you gotta put your kids to bed, or you have to go to bed. Tracy, don't laugh, because you'll be up, so at 5 o'clock, so, anyway. And here's I guess the last thing I'll say. Any time between now and November 4th, if you have any question, any concern, something that didn't make sense tonight, your neighbor asked you a question, you don't know the answer, please call my office. Please come by the Dilworth office, stop and see me. My job is to answer to you. That's my job. So, and if I don't do a very good job, you can tell me that too, or you can tell the board members. Yes.
I do have to say, our teachers have a lot on their plate, this day and age, they really do deserve more money, they really do.
Sorry.
No, the DGF teachers check, not the Moorhead teachers. They get it. Education today is a little more challenging than it was before. I would agree. Yeah. Thank you, Lori, for that. That's true. You, $20 over there, buddy?
Where's mine?
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll settle up for a lunch or something. Yeah.
But what I get frustrated with is if teachers are struggling, I want to help teachers. And I really like to just work.
Okay.
Because I think sometimes that's there are people in this room especially that would like to come to teaching classroom. We don't know how to do that without going through a bunch of administrative crap. So I think if there's an opportunity, that would be really valuable things to say. You know, close like each classroom is down $25 or each whatever, because then it's sort of like, okay, I know how I can help them.
Yeah. So here, yep, so this is the conundrum I am with, or I'm in as a superintendent. It's our job, it's like athletics. We're gonna get my football team, needs a helmet, needs shoulder pads, and needs pants that are padded, right? Because they gotta be safe. The school is absolutely responsible, give them the equipment to be successful, right? Now we go to the classroom. And so now we have sports booster clubs that go, hey, we want to get them, gold footballs instead of regular leather ones. And it's like, stop, right? But there's some point where you let some of that fundraising happen. Our teachers this year in the elementary, and I think some of the middle school, had, what was it called again? They did something, and I was fighting it a little bit. Oh, stop, guys, you can't just keep eating up our public, because we're going to ask them for money, maybe. Right? And I go, but we need money to function. What's it called again? Say Amazon wish list. Did you hear about that? It was just in the elementary. I thought that we did it too, but I came with it. No, okay. So there was something that they put out. Was it posted anywhere, Brittany? I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
In our newsletter, but you don't have an elementary kid, so you didn't see that.
Oh, I got you. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm thinking about the teachers and I think about the fact that, and one of the reasons I go back to the enrollment is that these teachers getting 25, 27 kids in their classroom, I understand, everything's a delay, we're not gonna talk this funding until 2 years later, all that crap. They need it now. So
It is.
I don't have a problem with that. There might be people that are, but maybe I can cover by the kids. So those are the types of things that would be helpful to work on. I really would love some of that information in the newsletter that goes out with what they established. Can you give me something I can do?
How can I help, right? Yeah, okay. No, I super appreciate that statement. I really do. Yeah, it's, Lisa, were you gonna say
Yeah, I
something?
was just gonna say, so in the recent year, we have started a DGF School Foundation, which is a 501c3, which we've started and we're really looking to get started with the community on raising funds for our school, not just our sports, because we have those sports that go out and raise the funds for football, basketball, and we support those, right? But how can we support our academic clubs? How can we support our teachers in the classroom? Can we set up scholarships? How can we do all that? So we've definitely started to talk about that, and we do have the LLC, or the organization set up to do that. And so now we're gonna start getting out to the community and really asking for that, so, position.
To start the foundation, I thought was like, get the keys, turn it, let's go. The state of Minnesota is involved. I'll leave it at that. We do have it set up, so Lisa is a part of that group. We started, that's almost a year ago, year and a half ago. We're just trying to get jumping through the hoops. And it's getting to a place now where we can start to approach people. Thank you, Lisa, for bringing that up. Yeah, that is another thing we're trying to do is start for people like you. Yeah. Thank you for that. I couldn't agree more. Our teachers, it's a challenge, right? And then I gave them last line. Yeah. Anything else before we say goodnight? I'll make my third time. Don't forget to reach out if you need to reach out. Please do. Okay?
I'm so glad you have a guy like you fighting for our kids. It struggles with, no, stop it, okay? It's fighting for our kids and our best interests and cutting things you don't want to cut and getting it down to the bone before you come to us, but I just am so thankful that we have a leader that's a guy of integrity and working for our kids.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming. Appreciate everybody being here. Enjoy.
Sorry, we have to be here to say that.